The night was a heavy, starless blanket over Donetsk. At first, it was just the deafening roar of silence, an unnatural quiet that swallowed the hum of the city. Then, the black sky ripped open, not with a whimper, but with a sudden, scorching, blinding white apocalypse of light. A flash so intense it seemed to vaporize the clouds themselves. This single, massive pulse was instantly followed by a savage chain of secondary explosions, a furious percussion that rattled bones and shattered windows across the entire city. There were no air raid sirens, only a chilling vacuum. The entire Russian radar grid in the region, usually a constellation of blinking lights, simply flatlined and went dark. From the distant, watchful eyes of satellites, all that registered was a brief, expanding thermal bloom, a silent, glowing wound before it winked out, leaving zero trace. The old airport, the fortress Moscow smugly called untouchable, was instantly consumed by a tower of flame and thick, oily black smoke, an inferno visible for 100 miles. In less than 5 minutes, Russia's primary logistics nerve center, the lifeline for its drone campaign, had been ripped out and pulverized. It was gone. The immediate aftermath was chaos veiled in confusion. Moscow's propagandists rushed to claim a simple ammunition depot accident. Locals whispered about a new, terrifying weapon. But here's the plot twist. As the dawn painted the horizon in hues of red and gray, the truth was confirmed, and it was far more audacious than anyone imagined. It was not a fluke, not an accident, and not the work of some untested superweapon. It was the calculated, surgical triumph of a months-long, ghost-like operation executed by Ukraine. A campaign specifically designed to completely wipe the Shahad drone assembly base off the map. This audacious counterstrike was an impossible ballet of coordination, combining elite special forces, precision artillery, and wave upon wave of sophisticated UAVs. And at the lethal heart of this symphony of destruction was one single powerful code name that instantly became legendary on both sides of the conflict: Madar. Who is Madar? The shadow leader who orchestrated the strike that decapitated Russia's air defenses. Which forces merged their efforts to turn the mighty Shahed base into ashes in mere minutes? And what chilling new chapter of modern warfare truly began that night in Donetsk? Let's find out, only on Navy Elite. On the night of the incident, the skies over Donetsk erupted in a chain of violent explosions that lit the horizon for miles. What was once an international airport had been transformed by Russia into a logistics hub for Shahed attack drones, and in minutes, it became the center of one of Ukraine's most accurate strikes of the war. According to the Ukrainian General Staff, the assault was a coordinated operation combining drones, long-range missiles, and electronic warfare units aimed at destroying the command core of Russia's drone network. Video from social media captured a bright flash followed by rolling secondary detonations, the kind caused when stored munitions ignite in succession. Satellite and thermal images released hours later confirmed that multiple fuel and ammunition depots were burning, their heat signatures visible from orbit and spreading across the entire airfield. Commander Robert Madar Bravdi, leader of the 414th Unmanned Systems Brigade, described the strike as the culmination of months of intelligence gathering and cross-unit coordination. His team had watched the base grow, tracking convoys, noting construction patterns, and pinpointing launch sites until every routine was predictable.
Ukrainські reports claimed blast destroyed as many as 1,000 Shahed drones and 1,500 warheads worth tens of millions of dollars. Even if unverified, experts agree the material loss was substantial and likely disrupted Russian drone attacks across the front for weeks.
To understand how Ukraine achieved such precision, we need to trace the operation back to its quiet beginnings, the months of reconnaissance that shaped the battlefield long before the first explosion. Weeks before the attack, Ukrainian reconnaissance teams were mapping the Donetsk airfield meter by meter. High-altitude Horror drones flew between 500 and 2,000 meters, transmitting crystal-clear, real-time video of supply movements. These drones were Ukraine's invisible eyes, patiently documenting the enemy's rhythms. Analysts from the Cyber Barno group combined those feeds with fresh satellite photos, revealing newly fortified warehouses, fueling points, and control bunkers. With coordinates accurate to within 2 or 3 meters, they could plan a strike that minimized risk to civilians while maximizing damage to vital targets. By analyzing the timing of deliveries, flight tests, and assembly shifts, planners identified the perfect window when fuel, warheads, and completed drones were all stored together in the same zone, the precise moment of maximum vulnerability. When the order came, the Special Operations Forces, unmanned systems units, and rocket artillery groups acted in unison, instantly turning raw data into firepower and intelligence into destruction. The result was both tactical and psychological, a reminder that Russia's so-called secure zones were vulnerable to modern intelligence, persistence, and Western-assisted technology. For many observers abroad, Donetsk proved that information, innovation, and timing, not size, now defined military power in the 21st century. Long before the Donetsk airfield went up in flames, Ukrainian intelligence had been watching in silence. Starting in August, units from the Unmanned Systems Forces and the 414th Brigade, known as Madar's Birds, started a patient reconnaissance campaign over the occupied airport. What appeared to be a simple landing strip on maps was in fact a multi-layered complex for assembling, storing, and launching Russian Shahed drones. Their work relied on Horror-class reconnaissance UAVs flying between 500 and 2,000 meters, capturing high-definition video of convoys and new construction. Analysts merged this live data with commercial satellite photos from OSINT groups such as Cyber Barno and Dnipro OSINT. The cross-analysis revealed fresh bunkers, control shelters, and fueling points, narrowing geolocation errors to just 2 or 3 meters. Ukraine had built a digital replica of the base, a 3D blueprint for destruction, complete with coordinates for every target worth striking. When the imagery and ground reports finally matched, commanders realized Donetsk was no longer a mystery. It was an open book waiting to be closed with fire. Over weeks of continuous flights, analysts noticed more than structures. They saw routine patterns showed when fuel deliveries arrived, when drone assembly lines accelerated, and when completed units were staged for launch. Those cycles created windows of vulnerability in which hundreds of Shahed drones and warheads sat exposed. By striking at that peak, Ukraine could cripple the network with a single coordinated blow instead of many smaller raids. Signals intelligence filled the remaining gaps. Monitoring of local radio traffic revealed radar frequencies and communication channels, allowing electronic warfare crews to jam detection systems at the exact minute the strike began. What emerged was not a single mission, but a choreography of sensors and algorithms working in harmony, data replacing guesswork on the battlefield. When those cross-checked coordinates turned into launch commands, the invisible months of preparation became a storm of precision strikes. In the early hours, missiles and UAVs pierced the night sky and slammed into 2 main warehouses and several fueling stations. Seconds later, catastrophic secondary explosions rippled through the airfield as stored warheads and fuel tanks ignited. Thermal imagery recorded massive heat signatures, hotter than lava. Videos from nearby towns captured shock waves rattling windows miles away. Kiev later estimated up to 1,000 Shahed drones and 1,500 warheads destroyed, figures unverified but consistent with satellite imagery. Western analysts valued the losses at tens of millions of dollars and said the strike likely crippled Russia's drone operations for weeks. Beyond the numbers, the attack carried a deeper message. Even deep inside occupied territory, Russian logistics were no longer untouchable. For Ukraine's allies, Donetsk demonstrated the rise of intelligence-driven warfare, where information can outweigh numbers and patience becomes the decisive weapon. It proved that when precision and timing align, a single night can reshape an entire front. With reconnaissance complete and Russia's drone hub in ruins, the next phase would focus on the specialized weapons and electronic systems that made this unprecedented accuracy possible. In the weeks before the strike, Kyiv assembled a layered toolkit combining heavy cruise weapons, long-range attack drones, cheap decoys, and potent electronic warfare. This mix was designed to create multiple pressure points along an enemy's sensor and shooter networks. The FP5 Flamingo sits at the heavy end of that toolkit. Reported as a turbofan-powered cruise weapon with a warhead near 1 metric ton, Flamingo is intended for long-range, low-altitude penetration against hardened logistics nodes. Planners would employ small salvos of 4 to 6 Flamingos to destroy hardened aircraft shelters, fuel storage, or command nodes in a single blow. That approach forces defenders to choose between using scarce interceptors now or risking catastrophic damage later. Recent production trends in Ukraine also changed the operational calculus for both planners and opponents. Complementing Flamingo strikes are swarms of relentless FP1 class attack drones that provide depth and flexibility. FP1s carry modular warheads in the 60 to 120 kilogram range and can penetrate deep into rear areas, striking depots and energy nodes out of reach of tactical aircraft. Operators launch FP1s in groups of 8 to 12 to exploit gaps created by heavier weapons. The smaller drones are inexpensive and expendable, yet precise enough to cause targeted destruction when coordinated with a Flamingo strike. In documented strikes, Flamingos and FP1s combine to trigger cascading secondary explosions in storage complexes. That multiplier effect amplifies physical damage and logistics disruption beyond what any single weapon could achieve. Lethality is amplified by deception and electromagnetic craft rather than by raw explosive mass alone. Cheap decoy drones fitted with heat packs and artificial infrared signatures routinely draw short-range point defense systems into wasting munitions and exposing engagement windows. Concurrently, Buval AD and similar electronic warfare suites degrade adversary GNSS and data links at tactical ranges. Jamming and spoofing do two things. They blind defenders and they complicate missile intercept solutions, increasing the chance that a guided weapon will reach its aim point. Attackers mitigate fragility in their own networks by routing control channels over redundant and protected relays, including hardened fiber links. This redundancy ensures a single jamming event cannot collapse the entire strike package. The decisive advantage comes from integration. Anti-jamming GNSS/INS stacks and real-time sensor fusion let weapons correct in flight and adapt when satellite navigation degrades. Both Flamingo-class missiles and modern FP1 derivatives reportedly include onboard processors that can replan trajectories and refine terminal aim points using visual data. When decoys draw fire and jammers slow defender decision cycles, Flamingos and FP1s operate inside compressed windows of vulnerability. That combination saturates radar nets, depletes interceptors, and stretches command timelines, which raises the probability of mission success. For planners, the lesson is stark. Layered hybrid packages that marry mass, precision, deception, and electromagnetic craft are no longer experimental. They are a durable method to impose effects deep inside an adversary's rear areas, and a reminder that gaps in political deterrence prompt operational innovation and raise escalation risks. When synchronization was complete, planners launched successive strike waves intended to overwhelm defenses and turn the airport into sustained destruction and logistical collapse. The operational result confirmed a hard truth. Weak deterrence at the political level invites technical and tactical escalation on the battlefield. The operation began with a heavy long-range strike meant to punch a hole in Russian defenses and trigger cascading destruction. A salvo of FP-5 Flamingo cruise missiles was launched from a distance, each flying extremely low to evade radar and carrying a warhead of roughly 1 ton. These missiles were aimed at hardened bunkers and fuel depots, and 4 to 6 of them working together created a single massive breach in the complex. Their low radar signature and anti-jamming navigation allowed them to penetrate deep into enemy territory before detection. When the first explosions hit, the shock waves ignited nearby fuel tanks and ammunition storage. Secondary blasts spread rapidly, creating fireballs visible from space and recorded by satellite infrared sensors. The detonation chain crippled defensive coordination, knocking out communications and blinding radar operators. Within minutes, the entire command post was engulfed in flames, and the first layer of Russian defenses collapsed before they could even respond. Intelligence later confirmed that at least 2 control bunkers and 1 underground fuel depot were completely destroyed, cutting supply lines for more than 48 hours. As fire and smoke filled the horizon, squadrons of FP-1 drones moved in from multiple directions. Each drone carried a modular warhead weighing between 60 and 120 kilograms and relied on an inertial navigation system to operate autonomously in GPS-denied zones. They were fast, small, and pre-programmed to converge on ammunition depots, control towers, and fuel lines. Every FP-1 moved in sync, following coordinated timing to strike targets weakened by the Flamingo bombardment. Within moments, explosions erupted across every sector of the base. Task Force recordings later confirmed that more than 90% of FP-1 drones reached their intended targets. The second wave turned destruction into paralysis, finishing what the first had started. Each hit cut deeper into the logistics chain, crippling the ability of ground crews to refuel vehicles or move ammunition. Defenders tried to fire back, but without radar coverage or communication, most counterfire missed completely. The base, once operational, became a burning ruin, scattered with destroyed vehicles and collapsed storage halls. With air defenses offline and command disrupted, the third wave began. 4 to 8 Labuti kamikaze UAVs dove toward the last active control hubs, while 20 to 30 FPV Bliskufka drones flew low, targeting trucks, reloading zones, and remaining anti-air positions. Each drone acted independently through AI-assisted control, maintaining formation even when communication signals were jammed. Swarm algorithms allowed them to reassign targets, avoid mid-air collisions, and exploit open defense gaps left behind by earlier waves. This autonomy ensured that even under heavy electronic interference, the attack continued flawlessly. In less than 5 minutes, the entire complex was neutralized. The ground burned with fuel, control systems collapsed, and the remaining personnel fled under relentless UAV pursuit. When the final explosions faded, reconnaissance units entered the site. What they found was complete devastation. Silos collapsed, bunkers obliterated, and fuel stores still burning. The attack was short, precise, and unstoppable, proof that modern warfare no longer relies on long campaigns, but on speed, synchronization, and technology. It also revealed a deeper truth. When deterrence weakens, innovation takes over. The Donetsk strike showed that in today's battlefield, layered coordination between missiles, drones, and AI can rewrite the rules of air dominance and do it all in minutes, not days. Throughout the operation, a network of ISR Hora drones maintained a constant presence above the battlefield. These reconnaissance UAVs served as the guiding intelligence layer, orbiting miles above ground while scanning every movement below with infrared sensors and optical cameras. From their live feeds, Ukrainian command centers tracked convoys, fuel trucks, and radar stations in real time. Every coordinate they captured was instantly transferred to artillery units and long-range missile batteries, creating a precise sensor-to-shooter chain that allowed for near-immediate strikes. As the first FP-5 Flamingo and FP-1 drone salvos hit their targets, the Horror drones continued circling at a safe altitude. They watched the explosions unfold and adjusted the targeting grid for follow-up strikes. The coordination between airborne sensors and ground-based weapons meant that no single system operated in isolation. Instead, the attack functioned as a synchronized network, one that turned data into destruction with stunning efficiency. This approach minimized human error, maximized strike accuracy, and showed how intelligence-driven warfare has replaced the slower, reactionary methods of the past. When the final missiles detonated, the Horror drones immediately began the post-strike phase. Flying at medium altitude, they switched from optical observation to radar and LAR scanning. By combining heat detection, light mapping, and synthetic aperture radar imagery, they built a complete digital mosaic of the battlefield within minutes. Reports later confirmed that the drones identified multiple secondary fires, structural collapses, and fuel tank explosions consistent with total target destruction. Ukrainian officers later stated that the full find, fix, finish, confirm cycle, from detection to verified results, was completed within just a few hours. It was the first time such rapid and precise verification had been achieved without a single human crossing into the danger zone. The chain from reconnaissance to artillery to confirmation formed a closed loop, proving that autonomous technology could now handle the most time-critical phases of modern warfare. Beyond its tactical success, the operation represented a leap in military integration. For the first time, Ukraine managed to merge AI analytics, electronic warfare, and multi-layered drone coordination into a single unified system. AI modules on board the UAVs helped interpret radar clutter, distinguish decoys from genuine assets, and adjust flight paths automatically when jamming attempts were detected. Ground-based EW teams, meanwhile, shielded communication links, preventing disruption even as Russian countermeasures intensified. This combination of machine intelligence and human strategy allowed Ukraine to wage war at machine speed, faster than any command chain could have achieved manually. The multi-tier network of sensors, drones, and strike assets turned data into firepower almost instantly, marking a historic milestone in the evolution of drone warfare. As analysts reviewed the collected data, one conclusion became clear. This operation had changed the strategic landscape. The integration of AIW and ISR demonstrated that victory in future wars may depend less on manpower and more on automation, coordination, and information dominance. The results did not just confirm massive destruction. They revealed a turning point in modern combat where machines think, react, and win before humans even see the smoke rise. Ukraine's command announced that the Donetsk strike delivered a staggering, calculated blow to Russia's drone infrastructure. According to Kyiv, more than 1,000 Shahed drones and over 1,500 warheads were destroyed, inflicting losses estimated at $75 million. This wasn't just a strike on equipment. It was a direct hit to the backbone of Moscow's drone operations. The coordinated attacks crippled a critical part of the Russian UAV supply chain, proving that no target, no matter how fortified, was beyond Ukraine's reach. Satellite imagery released in the following days confirmed the extent of the devastation. 2 massive storage depots, a fuel station, and a key control complex burned for hours. The images showed heat signatures consistent with multiple secondary explosions inside the warehouses, evidence that fully armed drones and fuel containers had ignited one after another. Analysts from Western intelligence centers described it as one of the largest single-day losses to Russia's drone program since the start of the war. For Kyiv, this operation symbolized more than a battlefield success. It was proof that a strategy driven by data, coordination, and precision could produce effects far greater than traditional firepower. The combination of AI-guided reconnaissance and layered drone strikes allowed Ukraine to deliver surgical-level accuracy while minimizing human risk. Each wave of attack was designed not just to destroy, but to dismantle, to erase entire functions of the Russian supply network in a single coordinated effort. Military observers noted that this adjustment reduced the frequency of Shahed drone launches in the weeks that followed, signaling a direct disruption of Russia's offensive rhythm. Meanwhile, Ukraine doubled down on its new doctrine, targeting the enemy's logistics rather than meeting its drones in the sky. By attacking storage, fueling, and control centers, Kyiv turned defense into offense, cutting the war's lifelines instead of fighting its symptoms. Western strategists called this shift a hallmark of modern warfare: strike the source, not the swarm. In the broader context, the Donetsk strike became a symbol of a new era of combat, one defined by intelligence, automation, and precision. This was not a battle won by numbers, but by knowledge and timing. Behind the flames and ruins of Donetsk lies a profound truth. Wars of the future will be fought by those who can see, decide, and act faster. And in this campaign, Ukraine proved it could. The Donetsk strike proved that intelligence and technology can change the balance of a battlefield more effectively than numbers alone. In a war once dominated by artillery and attrition, Ukraine demonstrated that precision, speed, and smart coordination could achieve what heavy firepower could not. The use of UAVs, artificial intelligence, and electronic warfare turned a limited arsenal into a network of highly efficient systems capable of striking deep behind enemy lines. With limited resources, Ukraine found a way to expose Russia's weakest points: its dependence on centralized logistics and static infrastructure. By combining AI-guided targeting, layered drone assaults, and real-time surveillance, Kyiv showed that innovation could offset inequality in size and budget. Every strike in Donetsk sent a clear political message: there are no safe zones left for Moscow. For the West, the operation carried another meaning. It proved that advanced military aid, when used with discipline and strategy, can reshape the course of a war. Donetsk was not just a military success. It was a symbol of the new era of intelligent warfare, one where data replaces manpower, algorithms replace instinct, and precision replaces brute force. In this battle, Ukraine didn't just fight, it redefined modern war itself. War reminds us that peace is fragile and can disappear in a single moment. Every conflict and every ruined city is a painful lesson about the cost of hatred and misunderstanding. Knowledge and awareness are the strongest weapons we have to stop history from repeating itself. Subscribe to Battlefront Vision, where we study war not to glorify it, but to learn how to protect peace for future generations.